Hey everybody, it's Tay from Roy's, and today I'm going to be showing you and today I'm going to be showing you how to create a health system like Legend of Zelda with the hearts. A heart health system, if you will. Let's get started. First, let's go and modify our player script a little. And we're going to have to make a couple changes. So I have a basic player script here, and here I just set health equal to 5. I'm going to change this actually. So I'm going to just put it down here for all our changes. So I want this to be our current health, and I want it to be a multiple of 4 right now, so 16. And I'm going to create another integer, private int max health. And for now, I'm going to set it to 16 as well. You'll be able to change this later if you want. Now let's go into where our player takes damage. So down here, our player takes damage, and we're going to change this to current health. Current health minus equals player takes damage. This is all we're going to have to modify in our player script for now. So let's go back into Godot and let's create our UI for our health. So let's create a new scene here and choose a user interface. We're going to add a child node of a grid container. And so what a grid container does is it just kind of makes like cells of grids. So let's add just a texture rect. And I'll show you exactly what it does. I've got some heart sprites here that I found on the internet and modified for this purpose. So I can just load one up and let's duplicate it. You'll see if it goes down, it goes on a vertical line if we duplicate it, but we can actually go into our columns section on the grid container and change it to something like 5. And now it'll only go down vertically if it's 5 horizontally. And I'm going to just leave it at 5 for now. Let's delete this and let's rename some of our nodes. So I'm going to rename our control node to UI. I'm going to rename our texture rect node to heart. Now let's save our texture rect node as a scene itself. So you can just right click our texture rect. Actually, I want to make a change. It's kind of blurry, so I'm just going to go into texture, filter, nearest. That looks a lot better. Whoops. So now, you can just right click our texture rect, save, and I'm just going to keep it as heart.tsf. Apparently there was one there. And I'm going to delete it. Now let's save our UI. So let's save our UI as ui.tscn. Works as well. Now let's attach our UI script. So right click our node and attach a script. UI, and I'm going to keep it as CS or C#. Now we're going to need to define a couple of variables. So we're going to need to define a variable to have a list of heart textures, which we'll add to later. So private list, texture 2D, heart textures, and just equals new for now. We're going to need another list for all the hearts that we want in our game. So however many hearts we want to be able to modify. So private list, texture rect, like the heart texture we just saved as a scene. Health list equals new. We're going to want to get the packed scene that we just saved. So private packed scene, heart prefab, and we're going to want to have health variables for our current health, at least on our UI side, and our max health on our UI side. Private int temp health, for now, just equals 0. And another private int max health equals 0 as well. These are all the variables we're going to need within our UI script. So let's create our public override void ready to run when the game runs. So first things first is we're going to want to check if the player's in the scene. So if you watched the other video before, I created a player instance, a singleton, so that we can access it anywhere in our game. So we can just check to see if it's in our scene by player.instance. Whoops, whoa. An animation player. If player.instance equals null, just return. Don't run any of this code next if our player does not exist. Now let's access some of our heart textures. So in our game, I have all these heart textures. Don't know what that is. I'm going to ignore that for now. Probably nothing. I have all these heart textures. So I'm just going to copy our heart texture location. And we're going to add them to our heart textures list that we created earlier. So heart textures, to do that, we can just do heart textures.add, gd.load, texture 2D, load it as a texture 2D. And now we're just going to paste in the string of our heart texture location. We're going to need to do this 4 more times. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's just rename it. Perfect. That's all we're going to need from our heart texture. Now we're going to need to get a heart prefab that we created earlier. So back in Godot, where is our heart? There's our heart. Again, you probably want a better folder structure than I have right now. So copy our heart scene location. And heart prefab, let's load it, equals gd.load, act scene, and again, paste in our heart prefab. Perfect. Now let's set our temporary health and our max health to the same variables that we had earlier. So temp health equals player.instance.max health, or no, current health. There it is. Oh, they're not accessible. Oops, I forgot to do something over here. Where are they? These are private. I need them to be public. No, thank you. I need them to be public, and I'm going to set them as a public get, but a private set. Both of them. So that we can't modify them from other scripts. Perfect. So now we can do player.instance.current health. Oops, other way around. Temp health equals player.instance.current health. And max health equals player.instance.max health. Perfect. Now we're going to want to spawn all our heart textures into the scene. Not all of them at once, but like however many in relation to our health. So let's create a new function. Private void create health UI. And we're going to take in no parameters for this. Now, usually, at least in Zelda, each heart is equal to 4 health. So that's what we're going to do as well. So int heart amount equals max health divided by 4. Now we're going to loop through and spawn them. 4, int I equals 0. Well, I is less than heart amount. I++. Now let's just spawn it here. Health list dot add heart prefab, which we loaded earlier, dot instantiate as a texture rec 2. The texture rec, not 2. Now we're going to have to access that health list and set its texture. Health list. And to get the last entry into it, we can just use health list.count -1 dot texture equals the full heart texture that we set earlier. So heart textures, not dot add, whoops. Heart textures, full heart one is 4. Now let's add it into our scene, get child, 0, then add child, health list, and again, just the last one in our scene, so health list, count, -1. That's all we're going to need. I'm actually going to break this section of code out into its own function because we're going to be using it later. So do that, just private void, spawn heart, taking no parameters, and we're just going to put it down here. And I'm going to fix these. And it just calls spawn heart from here. Spawn heart. Perfect. Now let's test if this works. First, we're going to need to call create health UI. And let's see if our game works. Save this. Place our UI. Save and run. Perfect. We're spawning 4 health. And .NET's having an error that isn't my fault. That's fine for now. So now we're going to need to have to modify these UI when our health changes. We're going to have to modify these hearts. To do that, we're going to have to modify our player script just a little bit. Back into our player script, we're going to create something called the delegate. And what a delegate is a way for essentially to call functions whenever we want from different places. It's hard to explain, but we have a whole video on it. It's the exact same idea as Godot signals. So we're going to create a public delegate, and I'm just going to call this send data. Oh, public delegate of the void type. We don't expect any data back. And I'm going to call this send data, and we're going to pass in int send data, and we're going to send data through it. So in our case, we're going to send our health. Now let's create our delegate variable. Send data on health change. And that's it. Now we're going to have to call this whenever our health changes on our player. So here on our player, this should probably be in its own function. I'll actually do that right now. Private void on health change. Int health. Int new health. And we're just going to copy this down here. Copy this. New health. And now we're just going to call on health change. So essentially, we're going to have to activate our delegate right here. And to activate it, we can just do on health change, the variable we created earlier, not the function name. Question mark, which means if nothing's listening, don't do anything. Invoke. And we're going to pass in our current health. Now we're going to create a function on our UI script to listen to our current health. So on our UI script, let's create another function. And I'm just going to call this function private void update health UI. And we're going to take in our new health, which we passed earlier. Now, up in our ready function, we're going to have to register ourselves to the delegate, which is actually quite a simple process. Again, it's the same as signals in Godot. I'm going to do it up here, actually. So player.instance dot on health change, the variable, not the full one, not the fully capitalized one, less equals update health UI. And this player needs to be capitalized. And I guess I didn't make it public. That's my assumption of what I did wrong. Yep, that's exactly what I did wrong. Public. Now this isn't going to throw errors. So now whenever we invoke our on health change, this function's going to run. So we need our function to start modifying our health. How are we going to do that? So let's just if new health. So if the health we're passing is less than temp health, the one we set earlier, we got to start modifying our health. But we don't want to redraw every line of health every time. So how we can do that is we can just start from our temp health position and move to our new health position in our part list. To do that, we can just use a for loop for int I equals temp health divided by 4. Because remember, we only have 4 hearts, or sorry, not 4 hearts. We only have, each heart is equal to 4 health. If I is greater than or equal to new health divided by 4, keep running. I minus minus. We're counting down to the damaged heart we need to change. Now we need to modify our damaged heart. So if I equals new health divided by 4, what do we need to do? We need to change our health list texture. Health list I.texture. And now we can do a sneaky method to update our texture. So we can just do heart textures, I, not dot texture. Actually, not even I. New health. So the health we got earlier. Modular 4, which will return a value between 0 and 4 based on whatever's left over in a division. Like, and again, the way we've set up our scene, this will always be accurate to however much health we have. Now, if it's not the current health thing, so if it's above, say, like, if you have 2 hearts and you had 30 hearts, well, those 2 hearts are always, those other 30 hearts above it are always going to be empty. So we're just going to set them to empty. So if I is less than health list dot count, so if this is still less than however many hearts we have in our scene, so don't go out of our scene, health list I dot texture equals heart texture. Heart texture. And just set it to 0. It has to be empty. Let's test if this works. Let's run our scene. Let's run into the enemy. Okay, now. So I realized we did have an error here. I'm going to need to set temp health equals to new health after this function so that this function doesn't always run and our temp health is a living variable. So now if we go into our game and run, and now if we run into our enemy, our health should decrease. Perfect. But now we need to handle our health increasing. So how would we do that? Well, back into Godot, into the same function, we need to create an else if statement for this function right here. So else if new health is greater than our current temporary health, what do we do? Well, we're going to have to loop again. We're going to have to create another loop. We're going to essentially do the inverse of what we did here. So for j equals temp health. Oh, not Java class. J. Come on, Visual Studio Code. You got this. Int j. That was my bad. Int j equals temp health divided by 4. While j is less than or equal to new health divided by 4. J plus plus. So, if j equals new health divided by 4. So if we're on the health we want to be modifying, the one that's not full or empty, what are we going to do? And let's just do a little checking here as well. So, and j is less than health list dot count. So we can't go outside of our variable range, our array range. We need to now set our texture. Health list j dot texture equals heart textures, and just, whoops, that needs to be brackets. New health, modular 4. And again, if it's below our current health, it's going to be all full. So else if j is less than health list, well, that didn't come. J is less than health list dot count. Now we need to set our health list. Health list j dot texture. Oh wait, no. Health list j dot texture equals heart texture. So again, it's going to be full health. So let's go into our enemy. And here we take some damage. So let's just add a key to take some damage. How about? So we're going to call our damage function, and we're going to pass in a negative number to give us positive health. So if we attack, we're going to on health change the function, and we're going to pass in -1. So let's run our game again. So let's run into our enemy, take damage. If we swing, we should be gaining health. Perfect. And if we swing, we're going to keep gaining health because we never clamped it. Let's clamp that right now. I'm noticing down here we're gaining health. So let's just say if current health is less than, or no, is greater than max health, current health equals health. There. That shouldn't be happening anymore. Let's give it a test. Yeah, it's always going to be 16 from now on. And let's see if that seems to be working. That does. But we want to be able to increase our health because at our current rate, we can't actually increase our max health. So we're going to need to adjust something. So we're going to need to be able to change our max health. So back to our script, into our player script. We're going to need to create another delegate. Public send data on max health change. And let's just change our max health here and invoke it. So here, yeah, let's just change our health. So let's max health plus equals 4, and then let's invoke max health on max health change. Question mark dot invoke. And let's just pass in our max health. I think I forgot to set this. Oh, no, I didn't. Good. So now back into our script. Let's create another function. Private void. Create max health. Actually, sorry, I'm just thinking. This is off the cuff right now. So I should, when we adjust our max health, this is just for temporary reasons. Don't do this. Please delete this once it's done. This is just for testing to show how to do something. We also need to set our current health to max health. So we always know we're dealing with full health when we get max health. Back into our script. Let's create private void, update max health. And we're going to take in an integer of new max health. Now we're going to need to register this like we did before. Player.instance on max health change less equals update max health UI. That is not a thing. Update max health. And here we're just going to set our current health, or our temp health. Temp health equals yeah, new max health, because we upped it. And we're going to set our max health equals to max health as well. New max health. Don't set it equal to each other itself. Into new max health. Then we're going to spawn another heart. Spawn heart. And now we're going to actually call our update health UI. And we're going to pass in our new max health variable. Let's run this and test if it works. So if we take some damage, we swing. I realized I made an error here. I shouldn't have set temp health to max health because that is where we adjust things. So just delete that line. Go into our script. Run it. take some damage, swing, and we get a new heart. And we can take damage there too. I hope this video was helpful for you guys. If you got anything from this video, I'd appreciate a like. See you guys next time.